And coming up on UT Today, hear how COVID 19 is affecting international students from going home.
Plus, how a group of students are keeping the theater stage lit despite COVID restrictions.
And later, we introduce you to a group of students learning the art of samurai.
That and more coming up on UT Today.
Hello. More questions continue to rise as vaccinations continue in the state. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Bryce Oselin.
And I'm Jessica Davis. Welcome to UT Today, a product in the School of Journalism and Electronic Media at the University of Tennessee. The rise in the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines has raised a lot of questions. UT Today reporter Nina Howard is here in the studio to answer those questions. Nina?
Thanks, Jessica. After a year of COVID, vaccines have been made available to the public, which includes the UT community. Starting this past Monday, anyone 16 and older is now able to schedule a vaccination appointment.
How many vaccines are currently available, and what are the differences between them?
There are 3 different types of vaccinations: Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, also known as Janssen. Pfizer and Moderna both require 2 doses 2 to 3 weeks apart, while J&J is only 1 dose, all of which are prone to cause side effects such as fatigue, headache, chills, fever, and nausea.
And should people prepare for their vaccine appointment?
When going to get tested, there is no cost to Tennesseans. However, you will be asked to provide a form of identification and insurance. There are no specific requirements or steps to follow prior to getting vaccinated.
So people should expect something similar to a flu shot.
That's right. After receiving the vaccine, you will also get a card that indicates the type of vaccine you received as well as the date, and you will be asked to sit for 15 minutes to monitor first reactions. Side effects are subject to each individual person.
We've seen a lot of social media posts from those who've gotten the vaccine. Is it safe to post a picture of that card?
The CDC recommends that you do not post your vaccination card onto social media to prevent fraud, as well as continue to follow guidelines set in place to prevent the further spread, such as wearing a mask, social distancing, and disinfecting surface areas on a regular basis. We have all that information on our website. Back to you, Jessica and Bryce.
Thank you, Nina. Appreciate the heads up.
Vaccines are now playing a big part in international travel too. As countries begin to open their borders, one student says she worries about getting home to India next month. Her student visa expires in December, but that process will take some time.
We're trying to figure out a way, maybe like I can just talk to an Indian embassy here or get it renewed some way. But if nothing happens, if there's no other way, then I would have to go back to India to get it renewed from the embassy, and it's going to take at least a month.
The Center for Disease Control has India listed as a moderate threat for COVID-19. But Cameron says her family is not comfortable with her coming home because they are still waiting to be vaccinated. More on this story at uttodaytv.com.
Knoxville citizens and UT students are experiencing a special kind of theft. Reporter Cameron Morgan Rumsey has more.
Catalytic converters are an integral part to any vehicle. Located under cars, they're what filter out toxic emissions. But filtering toxins isn't all they're good for. They're also great for making money and are a prime target for thieves. Maddie Wright is a UT student who lives here in West Knoxville. After a date night at her boyfriend's, she realized something was wrong with her car.
I started my car and someone had stolen the catalytic converter off the bottom of my car, like jacked my car, taken it in the middle of the night, and I had no idea.
Allstate.com says the car parts contain valuable precious metals. Thieves will saw the converters off the bottom of cars and then sell them to scrapyards. Business is booming too. Miss Wright says her mechanic has seen this time and time again as of late.
He had told my mom that he had towed 4 other Priuses from the area that day to get fixed for the same problem. And so that was kind of unexpected.
Stealing a catalytic converter is easy. Just take a look at this security camera footage. The thief is in and out in less than a minute, and the repairs can be costly.
So I think the final cost of the repairs was right around $800, $900.
So what can be done to protect yourself? Well, Allstate recommends having your converter welded to the frame of your car. That way, they're harder to steal. And if that isn't possible, try engraving your vehicle identification number onto the converter itself. That way, when thieves see it, they know they can't sell it. Reporting in Knoxville for UT Today, Cameron Morgan Rumsey.
And coming up this morning, hear how a group of students on campus are keeping the theater stage lit despite COVID restrictions. Plus,
COVID has changed the way schooling works for most college students, but has it impacted children the same way? Find out more in our next story.
Want to know where I got this jumpsuit? Stay tuned till after the break to find out.
welcome back. Last week, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio publicly announced vaccination efforts to help get actors back on stage. But what about those who aren't on Broadway?
UT Today reporter Courtney Cox spoke with one of the group actors on campus who have been producing full-length shows despite being on Zoom.
COVID-19 first hit, the theater industry had no choice but to close their curtains. But after almost a year and vaccines beginning to roll out, the show just might go on. Old banners and COVID guidelines now hang where posters for shows once were. Despite the Clarence Brown Theater not producing shows, All Campus Theater, or ACT, is the student theater club that hasn't stopped performing. I spoke with Alan Toney, the advertising chair of ACT, on how COVID has impacted them and their projects.
First, let me just say that an ACT event was the very last event that happened on campus before everything shut down. The musical theater review last year was on March 10th, and everything started shutting down March the 11th. So we were the last event on campus. So that was kind of shocking, and it was kind of like, how do we push forward with?
And how did they do it? By fully going on Zoom and dedicating this season to producing plays written by ACT's own members. But one has to wonder, with theaters locked and Zoom taking over, will the magic of theater ever come back? Tony believes.
A different kind of magic. It's not the authentic magic of being in a theater, performing on a stage, and feeling the chemistry and the grit and the sweat of the audience watching you. It's definitely not that. And that's been the hardest part of this, because it's really hard to foster that. But I'm not going to say it's better or worse, but it's just a different kind of magic.
A magic that actors hope to experience once again sooner rather than later. Reporting from the Clarence Brown Theater for UT Today, I'm Courtney Cox.
If you would like to support All Campus Theater, follow them on at ACTUTK on Instagram for updates on shows, auditions, and more.
COVID-19 has affected adults in every single way, from eating in a restaurant to attending social events. However, has COVID's impact been the same or worse on our children? Simran Kamari has the story.
Zoom classes are not only hard for college students. Little kids are struggling as well.
It can also impact their eye health, because they're staring at a screen like basically a few hours every single day.
While children are resilient, the isolation caused by COVID-19 has severely impacted their productivity and social development. As per a report by UNICEF, for some children, this impact will be lifelong. Nevertheless, preschool teachers at the University of Tennessee took it upon themselves to make Zoom classes as fun as possible.
We would take virtual trips to places that some of our families were from, and then we created a video with different clips of the different a monument and an open air market and a park that they loved, and pictures of their family. And we have learned just how adaptable children really are.
While Zoom classes have been challenging for most college students, we have a lot to learn from our kids who have adapted well to this new socially distant normal.
Reporting for UT Today, this is Simran Kumari.
What's going to change in our local schools in the fall? We will know more about it next week as the school board decides about possibly relaxing the mask mandate. Parents have until April 15th to choose if they want to send their children back to school in person or virtual next year.
Amazon delivers an amazing deal to UT's Haslam College of Business. Amazon has committed $750,000 for an endowed distinguishment for UT's College of Business. Amazon's gift was matched by the Haslam family, which totals to $1.5 million for the school. The professorship will support their faculty in the area of business analytics and data science. Haslam Department Head Michael Galbraith says the size of students in his program grows rapidly, and Amazon's gift will help maintain quality performance.
We have one of the fastest growing majors at the University of Tennessee. So as the more and more students grow, we want to maintain quality, and part of the reason that our programs are so successful is that we do have a very high-touch program where faculty and students work closely together.
Amazon's distinguished professor will step foot on campus next fall.
Fast fashion, while growing in popularity, has been shown to be 10% of the world's pollution. Scarlett Simpson shows you an alternative option for you to try on.
Wearing your granddad's clothes is not just a line from the famous song Thrift Shop. Jenny Salata and April Berger from French Fried Vintage offer a second chance for secondhand items.
It's vintage fashions from classy chic to funky freak for everybody.
When shopping secondhand, you can find a variety of styles, from a 70s jumpsuit to an 80s acid wash dress to even your favorite band tee. Anne-Marie Toomer, an avid thrift shopper, knows the real meaning behind taking a walk in someone else's shoes.
So in high school, that was like, well, it's always been my hobby to like go to these thrift stores and find these like super unique pieces for little to nothing.
So I challenge you to see what you can find with only $20 in your pocket. Reporting for UT Today, I'm Scarlett Simpson.
And coming up on UT Today, we have a look into kneeling capacity for the upcoming football season, so stick around.
Welcome back to UT Today. With sports, I'm Maya McCoy. Our first story this morning, Neyland Stadium. Like everything last season, football stadiums had a different feel. Neyland's usual 102,000 people were reduced to under 25%. The atmosphere we're used to in big-time college football just wasn't the same in 2020. But changes are beginning to happen. According to Athletics, the stadium is expected to open up with full capacity in the fall. Not only will this change affect the fans, but also the students.
The reason why Neyland stands out from all the other stadiums is because of how loud it gets in the atmosphere and just the sea of orange, and the crowd is just so excited to cheer on those Vols, and it's strictly because of the energy that we have. And this year was quite upsetting because it was very quiet, the energy was low, and it was hard to cheer on the team not being side by side with them. So this upcoming year, hearing that Neyland will be at full capacity is super exciting, because being on that field and running through the tee, it just sets the tone for the entire game.
Even though it's official that Neyland Stadium will be back at full capacity in the fall, the rules and regulations for 2021 are unreleased. We will have more on this story next week. For this week's Meet the Vols, I sat down with Vols track and field thrower Joe Maxwell to talk about his track career and a whole lot more.
I'm really excited because it's been, well, over a year now since I've competed because of COVID. So yeah, I've really been missing that part of my life, so I'm really excited to get back out there. It's nostalgic for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's been a great meet. I've done that every year since I've been here, so it's going to be a nostalgic moment, but I just want to make the most of it.
Speaking of nostalgic, let's see what made this native Canadian become a Tennessee Vol.
Well, it was a goal of mine to come to the U.S. on scholarship for track from the time I was a kid. And then when it came time for me to be recruited, when I was, junior, senior in high school, Tennessee showed some interest in me, and they had me on a visit down here. And after the visit, I just decided it was the place to be. So I signed with them after that.
And as we all know, throwers have to stay big and strong in order to throw far. So what's the 2019 SEC Shot Put Champion's favorite food?
Favorite food, I'd have to say a nice ribeye steak. It's pretty hard to beat that. Cooked rare, of course. It's always better.
And what does Joe do when he's not training or competing?
Honestly, not a lot. I'm kind of boring, but I would just like to relax at home most of the time. I'm not really a huge partier or anything like that, but I like outdoor stuff. So when I go back home to Canada, I like hunting or dirt biking, fishing, just anything outside. So yeah, that's about it.
This VFL also has a nice career in his future as well.
I do have a job lined up, and it's kind of like it's a business rotation program, so I'll get experience in multiple facets of business. So I hope from there, that's a year-long program. From there, I'll have some idea what type of business I might want to specialize in.
For UT Today, this is Maya McCoy reporting. Tennessee baseball is back and better this year while having the toughest conference possible, with most of the top 10 being in the SEC. Here's what Tennessee's head baseball coach had to say.
There's been times where we've referred to boxing to talk about our conference schedule, because you have to take blows and you've got to give blows. And I think you got to be awfully cautious about getting too excited about a win or looking ahead at opponent and say, let's win 2 or let's win 3. I mean, I've had a couple buddies, mention win this many games this weekend via text message.
The University of Tennessee's Rec Center has been able to stay open during the pandemic. This is due to the new rules and protocols the gym has in place. The T-Rec is right on UT's campus and is a place where people can go work out, take group fitness classes, or play pickup basketball. Like many other places, the T-Rec has made changes due to COVID-19. Students such as senior Blake Grindstaff are able to continue to work out, which is important for physical and mental health.
Definitely getting out of the house and be able to come to the gym and just work out. It's good to get out and move. Obviously, working out is good for your health, so I think I've really benefited from being able to get to the gym and work out. So, you got to wear a mask, obviously, but that's okay. I get it. They've done a great job staying open, so I'm happy with it. They definitely spaced a little bit of stuff out and moved the weights upstairs and kind of keep everybody from bunching up. Obviously, some of the water fountains where you can drink are closed just for obvious reasons, but beyond that, it's pretty decently normal.
Building hours vary, so visit recsports.utk.edu. The UT Lady Vols had a great season despite the pandemic this year. Our Zach Patton gives us an inside look from inside the tournament bubble in San Antonio.
Hi, I'm Zach Patton. I work with Tennessee women's basketball, and I'm here to give you an inside look into how the NCAA bubble was. First off, getting into San Antonio, the NCAA had rented out the whole convention center to hold COVID testing and closed practices there. Every day we was getting COVID tested. In the mornings, we would have to do our daily screening through this app. We would get tested and then sit in these little holding bays until everyone got the results. Every day you got your result and you had to take a picture of it, and you had to show that to get into certain places. Even one day I had a false positive, and that sent me into a protocol.
I'm in this room all by myself right now, as you can see. Basically what has happened is my test came back positive, but more than likely they called it inconclusive. They didn't say it's positive, but that's what the results read. So they are retesting me.
All of our meals were boxed. They were pre-ordered. We had so many different meal orders to go through each day. For a few hours a day, we would get to go into our meeting space. This is where we got to hang out and then do film and then sometimes eat together and things like that. Everyone had their own spot that was labeled, and you would sit there basically the whole time while you were there. And this bubble definitely takes a toll on the team and the staff. And I just commend the NCAA for the job that they did, because they definitely made it a controlled environment, and I personally think it worked. For UT Today, I'm Zach Patton.
A lot has changed around campus, but UT finds ways to keep students safe and able to exercise. That is a wrap for sports. I'm Maya McCoy. Stick around, everybody. After the break, we'll see how some UT students are learning how to sword fight.
Welcome back. This is UT Today. Ever wanted to become a samurai warrior? UT offers a class for that. R. Phil Cervello has the story.
The modern warrior, the modern samurai, needs the same sort of code. You need your own personal code of honor.
Ancient sword fighting is something many think is part of the past, but Lance England, an instructor at the University of Tennessee, is eager to share the ancient samurai tradition with students of today.
The samurai from feudal Japan had their own code, Bushido, but it was their code of honor, their code of behavior that dictated how they responded to their daily challenges.
This unique class gives students a chance to get some exercise and gain an appreciation for an art of the past. But for England, it is also about instilling a lifelong love of learning in his students.
The style that we study is Satoru Iaido, the way of the enlightened warrior, and the founder, Dale Kirby, was very adamant about the student being a lifelong learner and about maintaining a healthy lifestyle.
Although we hope no sword fight breaks out around Knoxville, England and his class will be able to protect us if it does. For UT Today, I'm Phil Cervello.
You mustard there's a shortage on one of America's favorite condiments, ketchup. The high demand on takeout orders puts a need on to-go condiments. The Wall Street Journal reports that low inventory of ketchup is hitting mom and pop restaurants as well as chains like Texas Roadhouse and Long John Silver's. But there's some good news. USA Today reports that America's most popular brand, Heinz, is working to catch up its supplies in order to produce 12 billion packets a year.
It's time for your daily dose of cute. 2 baby giraffes, 1 male and 1 female, were born nearly back-to-back at Zoo Miami. They're the 54th and 55th giraffes born in the zoo's history. Number 54, weighing in at 181 pounds, made his exhibit debut. While he was making his debut, another giraffe was born at the zoo. Number 55 was a female weighing in at 119 pounds.
Well, that is going to wrap up our show for this week.
Be sure to let us know on Instagram and Twitter at UTToday_TV what you would do with samurai training.
We would like to end the show with scenes from one of Knoxville's famous dogwood trails, now in full bloom. If you can, go out and enjoy them a drive, walk, or ride a bike.
And as always, we will see you next week on UT Today. Have a great day.